how's CES going for you?
It's going super well. This is the only public thing I'm doing. I've literally been in hotel rooms, having meetings, trying to make some fucking money the whole time. So just meeting with clients, mainly a couple of emerging platforms, but very focused on, you know what's interesting, CES, South by Cannes, these big events, I never go to the stage, I don't consume the content, I'm even speaking less. I just am using a ton of the opportunity to have the meetings that I need to have over the next 120 days in one place. So basically I come to Vegas for 3 days to save 5 or 6 days of travel in the net score. So just trying to be efficient.
Yeah. I think everybody's curious what somebody like you, who is touching all points, who makes a mission out of connecting with people and making sure that you know what's hot, what's new, what people are thinking about. What kind of conversations are you having here? What are you seeing, or who are you meeting with that you're really excited about? What kind of technologies are you seeing that you're really excited about?
I think what's very unique about CES is that people get very excited about what's coming. So I'm always a big fan of, and I know a lot of you some of you here follow my content, I'm very big on day trading attention. What that really means is I like being practical. I don't like when people think I'm a futurist or a disruptor. I don't think I am. I actually think all I am is just very practical. I try to pay attention to what you're paying attention to at scale right now, and how do I bring you value in those environments. So the thing that's interesting to me here is everyone's talking about, voice and IoT and, connected this, connected that, which is absolutely gonna happen. I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to never leave my fucking room. Like, it's all gonna be great. But for me, I think it clouds a lot, which is there's a lot of companies. I would say the far majority of companies here will go out of business before the promise of what they're trying to deliver on becomes consumer at scale. And so for me, I'm excited but tempered in trying to help people stay alive for the Holy Grail. There's a lot of people in 2007 that thought social media was going to be big. The difference between me and a lot of them was I knew how to stay alive from 2007 to 2013 before it became really real. And for me, that's what CS always reminds me, which is, great, I can't wait to have my robot, wipe my ass, but before that happens, make sure that you're still in business in 2027. And so there's a little bit too much 2027 talk for me. But at the flip side, I love that people are inspired, excited, meeting new people, bouncing ideas, thinking about things differently. And I would argue for everybody I'm looking at right now, if you see something that allows you to then use that as a proxy to be practical over the next 24 months, that to me is interesting in the way I think about CS.
Yeah, so where you were going there was where I wanted to pick up, because you have an easy situation and that everybody wants to come and talk to you. That is not the case for most people here who are trying to grab attention, who are trying to find connections. It's a lot harder. What is your advice to folks who have to go out there and pursue instead of being pursued?
Yeah, look, I think the advice, I'm a big fan of giving advice I've actually taken myself. I'm a big fan of eating my own dog food. I used to come to events like this and nobody knew who the hell I was, and I was in the wine business and it made no sense for me to be here. I'm an extrovert. It's comfortable for me to do what I recommend these people, which is if you literally don't know each other, it's probably a good idea to say hello. You've got a common point of view of where the world's going. As many people as there are here, it's still a very tiny percentage of the net score. And so for me, it was comfortable to come to something like this, listen to people and say hello, grab a business card, send an email, try to build a relationship. I'm a big believer in serendipity. I didn't chase the people on stage. I knew equally that the person sitting right next to me in a 13-year macro might be valuable to me. And so my advice to everybody who's not being chased down and cameras and all this is to say hello to the person next to them, because that's how life actually works. Now, there's a lot of people here that are shy. I grew up with parents that had an accent. This is an international show. There's a million things that I can run through my mind from the psychology of why every person here now won't look to the person to the left and right and say hello. it still doesn't make the advice wrong. That is the ROI. The ROI, my friends, everything you've seen here, you could watch on the fucking internet next week. The ROI of coming to this thing is to engage with the people next to you right this second. There's nothing I'm gonna say right now that you haven't heard me say in some other version for the last fucking decade.
And you got to remember that everybody's here to meet people. That's a funny thing. Is like you're afraid.
Yes,
you're
but,
afraid of meeting.
Go ahead, please.
No, well, you're afraid of reaching out, but you want to connect, and you have to remember that the other people are thinking the exact same thing. When you ask people why do you come to something like this, why do you go to some conference, the answer is always to meet other people. That's always the number one thing. It's not to like watch some people on stage, unless it's you. But otherwise, it's to meet the people who are there.
Yeah, I mean, in South by Southwest 2007, Mark Zuckerberg asked me to introduce him to Kevin Rose, the founder of Dig. The world changes. And so, the people that get to sit on the big stage, things like this, that, the other, they change. But you have access to everybody. I mean, there's fucking hundreds of thousands of people here. I'm just a very big fan of saying hello versus pitching. I wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook because I really wanted to establish the way I think of it, which is I just think that Herb and Greg should know each other. I don't think that Greg should pitch Herb his business. I think they should just say hello and create context, and then something may come from that. And I just believe in that. I don't know what else to tell you. I think it's very practical.
Let's talk some technology.
Greg, say hi to Herb.
Greg, Herb, Marco, and the guy whose tag is Robert. Now you know each other. So, you already know each other. All right, well, whatever. So, Gary, VaynerMedia's got a division called VaynerSmart.
Yes.
Where you are using new technologies, AR, VR, Internet of Things, to connect brands with consumers. Talk to me about being on that cutting edge, how you stay on it.
I've got very focused on IoT, products, like literally your beer reordering itself for you, smart refrigerator being more important than anything. But the reality is VaynerSmart was named 3 years ago when I started it, and the promise didn't come true, meaning it's not moving as fast as I wanted to, thought it might. So now what VaynerSmart does really is an obnoxious amount of Alexa skills and Google Home skills and even podcast marketing, which is very basic, that could be in media, because voice has become very real. I'm spending an enormous amount of time thinking about that. And so VaynerSmart itself is probably going to get rebranded because it's encompassing with AR and machine learning. I'm starting to realize, okay, the things that I know are going to happen in a 10-year macro, but I don't know exactly when and how it's going to pop. I need to create a division where it's highly not profitable because I'm just investing. And so VaynerSmart and some of the ML and AI and AR stuff is there. And then stuff that's even further out, like VR consumer or some of the connected stuff we're seeing here, that will just sit in my investing world and networking world, not as an official department.
Diagnose the problem. Was it because it's hard to move an organization at the speed that technology is changing?
No, the technology hasn't delivered on the promise of its speed. I don't know one fucking consumer product that's reordered itself for anybody in this home. It's always about, my mistakes in my career are always timing. Always. I understand consumer behavior so well that it's been my calling card. I really know that everybody's gonna do a lot of things here. Online dating was obvious. I didn't think it was weird dudes in their basements. I thought it was gonna be Tinder, and I invested in Yobongo and One and Highlight and everything. I got unlucky that Tinder was incubated inside of IAC. I knew that was gonna happen. Everybody here is going to be very deep in IoT and voice and order their toothpaste it's all happening. It's not the technology, so much of the promise here is going to be 4 to 6 years later than they said when they talked to you at the booth. So we move fast as fuck because I'm willing to lose money. The technology wasn't fast.
So do you stay? Are you looking? Are you trying to plan out to the 4 to 6 years when something that is talked about now is actually going to
always
be enacted?
Yeah, I mean, I lost a fortune last year on voice strategists because I could taste that it was going to be now, right? And whether it was 2018 scopes, which I've signed with clients, or 2019, I knew it wasn't going to be 2020. I can't say that for a lot of the technology we see here. So for me, I'm not scared if I think it's really close within a year, year and a half. Look, I bought cryptocurrency in 2014, but it wasn't because I didn't know when or how, and I didn't even know if. I really didn't. I just knew maybe, or kinda, or probably, or why it could. And when you look at the world look, I think the fundamental separation that I have is really predicated on two things. I have empathy, so I'm thinking about what you're thinking about. And number two, I don't care about money in the short term. If you really actually understand what I just said on those two things, if you're actually consumer-centric and you don't need money in the short term, you always look like a fucking genius.
Do you have a checklist in your head when you see a new technology that you're like, that this is actually gonna come? What is it when you how do you analyze something and say this is something I'm gonna see now, this is something I'm gonna see 4 to 6 years, this is something I'm gonna see never?
Is this something that Sally and Rick, that know dick shit about technology, are going to be interested in? And then it's completely a subjective call. And then that's number one. But the way I answer number one is, will this save somebody time? I missed Uber early, but I got in early because I realized very quickly after I didn't realize it that they were selling time, not transportation. The reason connected devices and IoT is going to work is it's going to save you time. You don't want to go to Dwayne Reed to buy Band-Aids.
And sometimes I think people confuse convenience with time. You know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I see things, I think I see some things here, or I see some things elsewhere, where it might be a better way to do something, but it's going to take the same amount of time to do it.
Well, I mean, look, that's what's happening with e-commerce, right? Are you saving time by spending all of January shipping shit back? You know, like, you got to look at these things. It's a super fascinating game. I think that's right. You also have to think about things that are nice to haves versus necessities. Uber, again, just as a proxy, you've got to get to places. That is a must, right? A nice to have is a million other things we could debate, but, I mean, look, I think the barber shop will be disrupted. Like, for the most part, not for everybody, but you got to get your hair cut, right? I'm coming, don't worry. And so I think that, I think about that. Like, if people definitely do that often, scheduled, all of that stuff will be disrupted. But most of all, I don't like people and I don't like companies and businesses that are ideological. Like, there's way too many enthusiasts here that would like to see this shit happen. I don't like anything to happen. I just want to try to figure out what I think is going to happen. And a lot of times that's put me in a place where people judged me and made fun of me until they didn't. All my friends made fun of me that I signed a K-Swiss sneaker deal because I had the audacity to think it would work, until it all sold out in 4 hours, and then they stopped laughing. And the reason it worked was because I understood where attention sat, right? And that's how I think about the world.
When something works, you're a genius, and when it doesn't work, you're a fool.
Success has unlimited fathers. Now everybody thinks they were involved. Like, Babin thinks he's the reason the K-Swiss sneakers sold, right? But failure has none, right? Yeah, I mean, look, but that's what makes it fun. If you're in a place where you're comfortable with accepting your losses, I'm proud to say up here that I've had a pivot, Vayner Smart, because the timing of IoT hasn't worked in the way that I thought it would. That's comfortable to me.
It means you're watching the market.
Yeah, to me that's comfortable. Like, I'm so sad that so many of you don't do things because you're worried about being judged. It makes me sad. Like, that sucks, fuck, Like, to me, that's my loss. Like, what's that got to do with you? Like, I don't give a shit what you think, Marco. I'm doing my thing. And so when you start getting comfortable with losing in the micro, well, then you can really start doing things. And so for me, that's why it's comfortable to day trade. If you day trade, you're gonna miss a lot. You just have to make more than you miss. And for me, I just am comfortable in that mentality.
When brands come to you, how comfortable are they with this ride? How comfortable are they with you putting them in touch with something that may not be ready, or
I don't sell things that are not ready. We didn't sell any IoT. Only maybe strategy of like educating them on where it potentially could go.
So then let me ask the flip. Do they want things because it's buzzy, even though you know it's not going to work?
Sometimes, but I don't let them unless they prove to me that the headline in TechCrunch or Ad Age has a viable business reason other than them getting promoted. Not that they, by the way, not that they listen to me. Like, client services suck shit. Like, most of my 100% of my clients don't do what I think they should do. 100%. But that's why I use my personality as an outlet for me creatively. The Garyvee thing is far more a test bed for me creative. I'm far more proud of being the architect of making myself a personality or awareness than I am that I'm it. Like, that's more my parents and my environment. They get the credit for me being a good guy and having charisma. That's not me. I'm the architect of how I got you to know who I was.
In our story, we put this guy on the cover in June. The story about you focused quite a lot actually on that division between the personal brand and the brand, and it was interesting to me. I didn't realize the degree to which you wanted those to feel separate.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to be a charlatan or a motivational speaker, or, those aren't interesting to me, but I'm also willing to people to judge me and misunderstand me because I know how this all plays out at the end. So you can boo me in the second quarter. I'll talk to you after the game.
And I like the way that you think of yourself as an R&D lab. That's what you're testing. You're testing things on yourself that you think are going to pay out.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't invest in Facebook and Twitter and Uber and Snapchat and buy cryptocurrency in 2014 and launch an e-commerce site in 1996 by accident. Like, I didn't create a brand that allowed me to sign a sneaker deal bigger than 99% of athletes by accident. None of this is fucking accident. This is me being willing to eat shit and have humility and take negative feedback while I try to figure shit out. I work. I do shit. Like, while everybody's debating, I'm doing it. And I'm willing to take micro losses for macro wins. And most people aren't, because they want short-term money or they actually value other people's opinions over their own.
On the subject of negativity towards technology,
Yes.
This is slightly selfish that I'm gonna pivot into this, but I think it's apropos for the setting. So I have this podcast called Pessimist Archive: A History of Unfounded Fears of Technology, where we look at things that why people feared and banned stuff that today we think of as totally normal. Gary, I know you're familiar with it, and I love that you are also passionate about calling out when people say that some new technology is going to change us in some terrible fundamental way. I mean, the number of things that are going to come out of this show that then people are going to talk about for 6 months, is it's going to ruin the way that we converse, it's going to ruin the way that we are as humans. And I wonder, from your perspective, how you address that conversation when people say this technology it's fundamentally bad.
I don't agree with them. I think, go Google the kaleidoscope. Kids had something in front of them and it was going to ruin their, this. You have the account. I mean, we tripped into that when we were hanging out. We are aligned on this. My level of respect for Sean Parker and Chamath professionally, because I don't know them super well, is extraordinary. It's extraordinary. I grew up during that era. They're brilliant. I completely disagree with their current headline-grabbing statements about Facebook. Technology is exposing who we actually are. It's not changing who we are. We're struggling to deal with the fact that we have a lot of shortcomings that we've been able to hide before in our personality traits. Not Facebook changed me. Guys, people are like, oh, everybody shows their best life on Instagram and everything's perfect. That's what we always did. We just had a coffee with our friend and said everything was fucking great. Like technology is exposing who we actually are, and demonizing technology of the moment is always historically incorrect.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like the way I think of it is that the shape of things change, but the thing doesn't change.
I have no interest in listening to billionaires that made billions on products, then shit on those products because they're altruistic. I just don't agree. By the way, I may end up being wrong. It's all on fucking film. I just have a funny feeling I won't.
Yeah. Well, we survived many before.
Are you kidding me? Like, fucking everything was supposed to kill.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was supposed to ruin my fucking life.
That's right. The bicycle, the car, the Walkman.
It's the same shit.
People banned the Walkman.
Like, oh, now you're stuck in your stream on social, but it was way better for you to watch television for 9 hours a day and have 3 old white guys tell you what to think. Like, we're being so naive. This is about, my friends, life is about choices. Either we have the collective voices and I laugh about Facebook. Facebook doesn't make me watch Russian hackers' content. Me engaging with the things that are put on Facebook show me Russian hacker content. You want to see how Facebook vigs everything? You know what nobody uses? Facebook search. You want to see how Facebook actually works before we demonize Facebook? Go to Facebook search right now, type in hockey. Go like 17 pieces of content that show up and watch fucking hockey content get shoved down your fucking throat over the next 2 months. Facebook's not penetrating you and changing your mind. There's no fucking Russian hacker that got you. You fucking actually thought those things. You just don't like it.
Amen.
It's truth. And we just don't want to deal. We want to blame everybody but our fucking selves. We have zero fucking accountability. You have subconscious bias. Deal with it. Period. Sorry. But it's the fucking truth. It's not fucking Facebook's fault that you're a fucking racist.
You can take those photos of people who are all sitting in a group looking at a phone.
It's truth. It's just like why are we not having the real? By the way, on a serious macro, I'm pumped. I actually think this is our societal step backwards for 2 steps forward. Like, this is painful. We're all dealing with it. It doesn't feel great. It's negativity at scale. Like, I suffocate in negativity. So the macro is like, fuck, this sucks. But this is one big step backwards. 10 years. By the way, this doesn't stop over a day. But we are going to take massive steps forward because of this, because the truth is always the best conversation. And let me remind you who was hiding the truth. The traditional media companies, not Facebook. So fuck you guys. Like, I'm so pissed at that. That is such lack of accountability, and then people posturing after they made their money. Fuck you.
Wait, I want you to expand more on that. Who traditional media companies hiding the truth?
Matt Lauer got away with it because of NBC and ABC and the Wall Street Journal, not because of Facebook and Twitter. The internet is now the media company, period, which means everybody has an at-bat. There's the commerce and branding side of it, which I love. Like, I'd still be in New Jersey with a bunch of liquor stores if the internet didn't come along. Like, you know, like there's a lot of that, but like there's a lot of like when you could literally call Rupert Murdoch and be like, yo, bro, you got some reporter at Fox that's investigating me, like shut that shit down. And they did. That's how the world worked. That's not how it works anymore. That's the bottom line. So that's what I mean. Like, you decide what the fuck's an Entrepreneur magazine.
I do.
Like,
Doesn't mean I decide who is an entrepreneur.
that's for sure, but guess what? You kind of do, because like what I mean by that is, and we all do that. It's just that we all can do that now. Like, every single person here can use the distribution has been commoditized. I, as a personality, as a human, have as much of an entrepreneur audience as now media I mean, that's absurd. That is unbelievably transformative.
It's not just that, but then media companies come to you because they want to reach your audience.
100%, and it works back and forth. It's leverage of attention. I'm just so happy that the truth has momentum. And look, it's going to change us tremendously because not one of us, including me, doesn't have human shortcomings. And we're going to need to reconcile that. The era of hypocrisy is in trouble. Like, we're gonna eat shit, have a lot of casualties, but then our grandkids are gonna live in a world where we accept each other's shortcomings way more than we do now, because nobody's gonna be able to hide. 10 years ago, a lot more people went to the strip clubs last night. Now, with media everywhere, a lot of people rethought their decisions last night. The world's changed. That's just real. That's just the truth. Like, so I think that's fascinating. I think that plays out in a million different ways.
I don't know that you'll even have an answer to it, but just to play the other side.
Yes.
Anything concern you? What do you see that concerns you?
Nothing. I'm being serious. Let me tell you why. I like data. Here's my punchline. We, human beings, have done a really good fucking job adjusting along the way. You know what's way scarier than Russian hackers? The Black Plague. I don't know, like fucking concentration camps seem a hell of a lot scarier to me contextually than naked selfies.
So here's what's scary. We forget how terrible that shit was, right?
That's how it gets repeated.
That's right. We forget that we had those fears. We forget that we fought the battles.
There's people literally mad that people gave them skim milk instead of almond milk in this audience right now. Like, do you understand how fucked up shit is? Like, we have zero perspective. A good friend of mine who knows me super well, last night at a dinner, or 2 nights ago, said to me, like, was acting weird with me, and like we got into a little conversation, and he was kind of razzing me subconsciously that I only put out positive content, and that it's a facade. And this is like if any of you said that, I'd be like, oh, I totally get it. Let me explain. But this is somebody that fairly knows me for like a decade. I was at his wedding, right? I don't go to a lot of weddings for context, so like tight. And it was fascinating to me. I was like, wow. People are uncomfortable with people that have really, like my mom is the same way. Like, I just have unbelievably deep perspective, which is the following. Unless the 8 people that I love the most are really sick, everything else means dick. I mean that, Maria. I'm gonna struggle to lose money today, or somebody said I was when Ad Age said the what the fuck moment was my sneaker and razzed me, that means nothing. So what scares me as a collective? Nothing. In the micro, the health and well-being of the people I love the most. Everything else is controllable. Everything else is my fault.
Something we have in common is that we're both in positions, to build off of what you just said, we're both in positions of positivity. It's actually, I feel very fortunate about it, because inside me, I don't know about inside you, but inside me I've got a lot of enthusiasm and positivity. I've also got a lot of deep skepticism. But I know that what people want from me is positivity. That's valuable to them. And so it puts me in that place where I can feel that the most, where I can exude that the most. And I think you're probably experiencing something similar.
You know what's funny? I have come to finally realize that I mean nothing, which then doesn't allow me to have the audacity to be cynical or skeptical. It's real, when I hear, I'm empathetic. And by the way, parents having sex at the right moment giving me DNA. Like, this is not me, but I'm like, why am I not skeptical? Why am I not cynical? Oh, because the fuck does my opinion mean in that for, the amount of people dropping their 2 cents on social media to shit on somebody like they mean something? People try to build the biggest building in town by tearing everybody else's building down. When you have enough talent to just build the biggest building, you just build the biggest building. I could give a fuck about anybody else. I'm doing me. And honestly, I wish all of you the best, and I even weirdly hope you beat me, because that will keep me hungry. But the truth is, I'm not worried about other people's shit. Like, we're counting everybody else's points too much. Worry about your own shit.
So we got a few minutes left, and let's do it by building people up, if we're just talking about that.
Great.
So I had a conversation with Samsung folks here just before you came on, where they were asking me, Samsung's looking to partner with barrier redefining people, really amazing entrepreneurs who are pushing boundaries. And I said, you know who they should ask? They should ask you. And actually, fuck that, why don't I just ask you on stage, put you on the spot, who should we all be really excited about?
So one of the things that it's funny you asked me that question off of what I just said. I am spending almost zero time paying attention to anybody else, so I struggle with this. And then the only answers I know are people that are really within my circle. So I hate this question because my head goes to a funny couple places, right? Rachel Tipograph, but I invested in her company. So it feels self-serving, so I never give the answer, but the only reason I know is because I sit on the board and I watch her navigate, and I think she's a ninja and an incredible entrepreneur, right? I think she's special. So like, the answer is, the names I know are like 20 people, all who are self-serving, so outside of Rachel, I won't name any of them, but it's the ones that I can actually see what they're actually doing. And there's a lot of people doing incredible stuff, and a ton of people. I'm just not, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about the shit I know. I get really quiet when I don't know. And the truth is, I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm not paying attention to that. I spend 100% of my time on consumer behavior. I care about what you're gonna do. I obsess over it. I spend 18 hours a day over it. I try to figure out why 8-year-old girls make slime. I try to figure out why Champion went from being a private label at Walmart to the brand that has the most swag in the streets. I try to think about what Cardi B did. I try to think about, what's going on YouTube Kids, and like, why is Siri every 6-year-old's best friend? Like, that's what I spend my time on. You're amazing at knowing their answer. That's what you guys spend your time on. So I suck shit at 98% of things. It's in that 2% that I'm going to be all time.
But your answer actually brings us full circle to the beginning of our conversation, which is about meeting people and discovering how great they are, because your answer is, well, the people that I know, I've gotten to understand what their strengths are, what their genius is. And so the answer is go expand, to everybody here, right? Not just to everybody. You go expand your network, and then you understand the great resources in people that you have around you.
I think so, and I think it's interesting. There's a lot of variables to why somebody gets put on a pedestal, and I am massively benefiting from having a lot of sizzle, but the only way to win long term is to have the stake. And I'm always trying to be thoughtful of and I think sizzle's special. Like, I don't to have sizzle means something. That's, by the way, most of the people you know. But to say who's a great entrepreneur, it's somebody that I think is going to be sitting there. Look, guys, we've lived now through literally almost 9 years of complete global economic growth. Shit has been great. Like, when I look at everybody under 30 in here, and I'm like, oh my God, never in their professional life have they hit a tremendous recession or a massive market crash. Like, there's not a lot. It's so fun. Like, I'm looking around, like, I would say, 65, 70% of everybody's faces I see here didn't even live through 2008, let alone 2001, let alone the mid-90s. Like, it's super easy right now. There's so much money in the system. All these entrepreneurs, startup people that everybody looks up to, they lose money every month. It doesn't take a hero to lose money every month. Everybody here can lose money every month. I've run businesses for 22 years of my life, every day of my life, and I've never, ever, ever raised any capital, and I've made money every single year. Like, that's a skill set. So that's what a great entrepreneur is to me. Not riding a golden era and was able to raise capital, she or he. No, running a business. Now, that bubble will burst, and then we'll get to see who's still around, and then we'll see everybody else who says entrepreneur in their Instagram profile right now when they're working in Bank of America in 24 months. And so that's what I'm waiting for. I'm most excited for and waiting for and hoping for complete global economic carnage so that we can weed out the B and C and D players.
Well, Jesus, if you had stopped talking a minute ago, we would have ended on a high note, but instead we ended on that.
I don't think, by the way, that's where I think this is so fun. I think that is a high note. It's the same way I'm looking at what's happening now. The truth should win. If you're a piece of shit, you should lose. If you're not a good entrepreneur, you should have a job. Merit and the truth are always the winners in the macro. We're just in a micro right now, and people are confused.
Everyone, you have your mission. Introduce yourselves to each other and give it up for Gary.
Thanks, guys.